So my particular Chyawanprash, that's the way you take it. My particular Chyawanprash experience in Nadia at the University of my Professor Gupta ji was that I just arrived in India with my friend, and we slept in a room that had about 45 degrees Celsius, and the ventilation didn't work. And we couldn't open the window because the pathology department was just opposite my bedroom. So we kept the windows closed and everything just had fresh paint. So I don't know how I survived that night. However, at 5 in the morning, somebody was banging at the door. And so I was just stumbling toward the door. And I find these two young, giggly men saying, here's your Chyawanprash, and here you have a cup of hot milk. You know, the kind of milk that reminds you of your auntie in childhood, where she always gives you the milk that is already foamy and just having a little bit skin on top. And you know that you will have the skin on your upper lip and you will just stay with that kind of like, ah. However, so I said, thank you very much. And I took the spoon with the Chyawanprash and I tried to grab the cup of milk and just pretend that I would take it later. And I said, thank you very much. You know, I will take it to my bed and I will take it now, I promise. And then one of the guys said, Madam Ji, no, professor said you will do that. And then you're naughty, you will not take it. I'm like, oops, I got caught out here. So they were waiting, staring at me, and I had to drink the hot milk with a Chyawanprash just in front of them, not mentioning that I'm lactose intolerant, and I was just fearing the worst. So I had to do that, and I really suffered through this moment, and it reoccurred every morning, of course, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I had to be streamlined for my work in the hospital. You don't have to do that harshly with your patients. You don't have to show up 5 in the morning. But yeah, I got called out there that I was also sometimes naughty, that I thought this is not good for me. I don't want that. However, you can buy Chyawanprash or any other avalaya, any other substance that is made like a confect, like a marmalade, like a jam. So you can buy the amla juice, the condensed. You can buy any other like ashwagandha as a Chyawanprash. So just really enjoy it with your patient. For some people, and particularly for children, it is really nice because it can be absorbed nicely. One has to be alert that there's a lot of sugar in it. So what is it about the conception of sugar in Ayurveda? In the West, we are so much concerned about the sugar, and we are not so likely to see sugar as a medicine, right? In Ayurveda, there are a lot of sugary preparations. So we use the palm sugar in Ayurveda. We also use the white candice in Ayurveda. And what we know about sugar, it is very difficult to be digested by kapha, correct? So it is very good for the pitta and the vata because it reduces the action of both. We know that when we're sometimes tired or we feel our senses are going all over the place, then we just take a little bit of some sugary drink and we feel like we get a lot of new and fresh energy replenished, right? So the sugar in small dosages is advised because it reduces the action of vata and pitta in our modern lifestyle. There's just one very particular rule about the sugar, the intake of sugar. So what is obsolete, what is not wanted, is that the sugar is hidden. In Chyawanprash, it is not exactly visible, but you taste it. But hidden means, you know, you buy any ready-made product, any deep frozen product, any stuff that is from the organic supermarket as a ready-made meal, there's sugar inside. If you have a biscuit, there's sugar inside. It's not really, really hidden, but it's a lot of sugar. So in a banana also, we have fruit sugar. That's also kind of hidden. How many people really know how much sugar cubes, even fructose, are in a banana or in an orange? It is an enormous amount. So this kind of sugar in Ayurveda is considered as not really advisable because we can't really measure how much is the intake. So when my professors sit there with a cup of chai and they scoop in 2 or 3 spoonfuls of sugar, and we're like, oh, this is not healthy. And then they come up saying, there are about 12 cubes of sugar in a muffin. There are about 25 cubes of sugar in a Coca-Cola. There are about 10 cubes of sugar in a banana. And there are about 8 cubes of sugar in an orange. So who's taking in the sugar? Yeah. So we have a lot of very good medicines that are based on sugar. And one is the Sitopalati Churana, which also just has its equivalent in our countries. When we say, somebody's suffering from a cough, then we give them onion juice prepared with sugar as a syrup. So the syrups are part of the other layers, and they're very nutrient, they produce a lot of soft phlegm, so it can be coughed away. When the lungs are getting too dry, you wouldn't give a churana because it's already dry. You want to just moisturize everything. So then another layer is good, because we know that sugar is hygroscopic, means sugar just collects fluids in the body. The next preparation is this. This is a very nice Yogaraj Gugulu. So a Gugulu is resin, and this resin is then prepared in a very special way, because the resin during the preparation might collect a lot of heavy metal. So most resins, most Gugulu are prepared in a separate room or outside. Then everything gets burned and the steam is moving to the outside, or they even have special climatized rooms where the purity of the resin is guaranteed. It will be then prepared after with a lot of different herbs put together, and then again just put on a stone and rolled later on by hand, and will be dried out in the sun. Of course, you already realize a lot of contamination might happen, particularly when things dry out in the sun, because of course we have animals who get interested in sitting or nibbling, and therefore one has to be a bit cautious for a long-term intake of Gugulu. So Gugulu is different to Churana in many, many ways. The first thing is it is very sticky. If it is very sticky, it can remove stickiness from the body, because it just clots on it and removes it. It scrapes it out. So most Gugulu are used to reduce phlegm and armor from the blood vessels, from the joints, wherever there's stickiness, you would use a Gugulu. The Gugulu, different to the Churana, are taken on at a different time of your dinacharya, your daily routine. A Churana, because it's so light, it is good to take it in the morning, and it's definitely advisable to take it before meals. A Gugulu has to be taken after meals only, because otherwise it will also clean your stomach lining, which means you might end up with a nasty gastritis. Churanas, we learned in the last session, Churanas are very good to take with different animals, with different transport vessels, like milk, fat, like ghee, bone marrow, sugary juice, or honey, and water. So here with the Gugulu, we have the only suggestion that it should be taken with quite warm water so that it can be dissolved. As we learned also in the last session, it is very important to have things exposed to your first part of the digestion in your mouth. So that means the gugul is not only to be swallowed immediately. Again, you take the hot water in the mouth and you start chewing on the gugul, and only when you have broken up it a bit, then you swallow it. I have some very, very special gulika. They're from southern India, and I use them for the traumatized patient. They're called Marmavalia gulika. And you actually keep them in the mouth until they really dissolve. So that can take up to 6 or 8 hours. So people have a little bit of a funny face for that time. But the effect is just so good that people really like doing it. That's the gugul. What is the next one? The next one is a vati. A vati is some kind of a pill. It is a pressed pill that, as we spoke in the other session, it should not contain any caking agent. It should not contain anything that sticks the substances together. So the vati is mostly a preparation of different herbs together, which is very important. Here also, here's another gugulu, which I like very, very much. It is the Kanchanara gugulu, different to the other one I showed you earlier. This is the Yogaraj gugulu, and we talk about the actions. The Kanchanara gugulu is just mostly very smooth. It has a smooth surface because it's a different preparation. Then we have something from a company I absolutely find disgusting. And they have put seriously Keshora gugul, which is a preparation made with it's a preparation that's very precious, and I'll let you know the substance that is so important. And you can't just put that into a capsule and swallow it. It's just impossible. You will lose so many of the goodness from that way it is prepared. And it's definitely also not sticky enough. It is powdered. So it has a very different action in the body. And by now, you know, just after one day, you also understand why this is not good for you. Then we do have different preparations of oil. This is one of my favorite companies. And here we do have a Mahanarayana Tailam. And the first thing that I always do is sniff it. And you find already some effects in your face, in your pulse. And the more you try that, the more you get alert of the different actions of the preparations.